welcome everyone to another episode of Keto Chat. I am your host, Carole Freeman, certified nutritionist, and I'm here today with the one, the only, Jessica Ty. I got to meet her on the the 11th annual low carb cruise. Oh my gosh, so much fun hanging out with her and her lovely sweetheart husband. So welcome, Jessica. Let me just do an introduction for those of you that don't know her. She is a nutritional therapy practitioner specializing in helping people achieve positive changes in their health and lifestyle through education and the use of nutritional therapy, including hands-on functional testing and lingual neuro testing. Her passion for health and helping others has led her to the area of nutritional coaching and education, speaking around the country at wellness events and as part of corporate wellness programs. As well as hosting the popular health and nutrition podcast, Keto Lifestyle. Jessica is from Cincinnati, Ohio, and has been happily married to her husband, Derek, since 1996. They have 5 kids ranging in age from 6 to 16 years old. Welcome, welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Carole. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy.
Here's a friend.
Yes, we both were wondering how many cat guest appearances we would have.
Yeah.
It's funny because my son is my video editor, and he always gives me a hard time. He's like, "Mom, get the cats out of there." And I'm like, "It's the internet. We get bonus points for cats and videos."
That's right. Cat videos are like guaranteed to do well.
That's the secret to my success is cats in my videos. Yeah. Well, welcome, Jessica. I'm so excited to talk to you and just, get official video from you out here or interview video for you out here. So, just to start out with, share with us your background. How did you get interested in nutrition? Have you always been doing nutrition, or what were you doing before?
Well, I think I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. Probably the definition for that. My husband and I we both are that way, actually. And so being together as many years as we have, we've started quite a few businesses, quite a few companies and over the years. And, but yes, I've always been interested in nutrition, always been interested in health. And I did not go to college. I didn't complete college. We got married when we were very young. And so we made a decision at that time that we were getting married and I was going to go straight into the workforce. I actually had been offered a dream job at the time, so I took it. And my husband went on to complete his degree. And anyway, so it was one of those things where I wondered, how different my life would have been had I kind of pursued my passion in the healthcare industry at the time. And I definitely think that things worked out the way they were supposed to. And so we've kind of just gone through life and different ups and downs and things that brought us to where we are now. And I've been working in kind of a holistic healthcare for the last couple of years, but didn't go back to get any kind of certification until the Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, getting that certification and, trying to expand my knowledge base and just being able to offer more to clients than I have been able to in the past.
Okay. So what made you do the Nutritional Therapy Practitioner program? What was the lead up to that?
Yeah, so I had kind of just really felt like I wanted more of a formal education in healthcare in some capacity, and I just didn't know what. And like you said before, we have 5 children, ages from 6 to 16. So very busy and trying to help my husband with, some of the other companies that we have. And I'd been doing some nutritional coaching, but really wanted some more formal education and just to learn more and get deeper with it. And so I had started kind of researching some things on the internet, and the NTA, which is the Nutritional Therapy Association, and the classes that they offer, which you can do an NTC, which is a nutritional therapy consultant, or the NTP, which is a nutritional therapy practitioner. And the difference is the NTP is a little bit longer program, and you learn the hands-on functional evaluation and the lingual neuro testing. And I just thought it sounded really fascinating. And I thought, wow, I think this is what I want to do, be able to offer to clients. And what I loved is just their philosophy really lined up with kind of how I felt about nutrition and how just kind of the foundations of our health can affect everything. And just thought that would be the best program to go with. So just dove in. I thought it's now or never. I'm just going to do it.
And how long ago did you complete that?
I completed that program about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. I remember you saying well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I was actually studying on the low carb cruise for my final exams because I had to travel the week after we got back from the low carb cruise. I had to travel to DC to take my finals and practicals. So
nice. Okay. Well, and it's the company is based in the Seattle area here, Washington State, right? So way back before they even had that NTP certification program, I was taking some of the weekend classes that Greg Graham was offering that was teaching the lingual neuro testing that they teach you. And so I'm familiar with that process and things that they do. But yeah, I just want to, shout out to them that this, it's a very thorough and comprehensive certification program. It's not like just, you just studied something online and then you paid them and they give you a certificate. You guys have actual rigorous testing that you have to follow up on, and final exams and in-person final exams, and not just a written one.
Yes, it's an intense program. It really is. And I'm so glad that I did it. But I have to tell you, like, going through that and trying to manage everything else I have in my life was super intense. And I underestimated how much work it was actually going to be and how much I was going to have to use my brain. But I'm very grateful for it because I've been out of school for 20 something years. So it was really difficult just to get back into this learning. I mean, that's a skill set. Studying is a skill set. So figuring that back out again and trying to figure out how to work that into my life as a mom and business owner. And it was a lot, but I'm very, very grateful. And it's a great program. And the lingual neuro testing is it is so fascinating. And I know how to do it. There's so much more I want to learn about it, though. It is such an in-depth testing system, and it's just amazing how our bodies work. And so there's more research I still want to do on that and kind of learn that even more, because I think it's a really big deal.
Can you just share with people what that even is? Because I'm sure most people that are watching this don't even know what that means. They might be thinking like the NLP stuff that Tony Robbins does, or maybe they have no idea, but it's...
Yeah, so we have, in our bodies, we have all of our different systems, all of our, different body systems, and there's actually connections between the nerves in these systems and our brain, and I'm giving you a very, very basic, broad overview of this, but basically just how our bodies know what they need. And so you can just put the substance, like a vitamin or a mineral or, whatever it happens to be, on your tongue, and your brain, through all these neurological connections, actually recognizes that it now has the substance that it needs for this particular body system to be functioning properly. So then we can go back and do a functional evaluation on that specific system in the body, which there's different points in your body that different like reflex points that you can test, and it will actually improve the results of these functional evaluations on your body based on what your brain is recognizing you've just given your body. So it's just fascinating, and to see it actually work. It's one thing to hear about it, but then you think, okay, yeah, right, that sounds so woo-woo, but then when you actually see it happen to somebody, you're like, no way. Or if it happens to you, there's no denying that it happened. It blows you away. Yeah,
and what I saw with that it allows you to give much, targeted nutrient supplementation for what people needs, which varies from person to person, instead of everybody just gets this thing and it may not be actually what that person needs. So
very much. That's the biggest thing that we can offer as NTPs versus like what I was able to offer to my clients as a health coach without having that specific training, is that if I'm able to have somebody in front of me, then you can do that. So instead of just throwing darts at the wall, which even, those of us that are in the nutrition field and we're working like that, we're typically not just throwing darts at a wall. We have a goal, we have ways that we're doing different things to pinpoint, at least within a general area, what we think may help this client. But in order to really pinpoint it, when we do this lingual neuro testing, I mean, you can tell right away, maybe magnesium is actually not what this client needs at all, and their body doesn't respond well. It can even actually respond worse. And then maybe you end up, testing potassium against the same system, and all of a sudden, everything is working the way it should be. And you're like, wow, I would have never guessed potassium, but clearly this person needs potassium. So it's very bio-individual, and being able to pinpoint it that closely is a big help for people.
Nice. So why are you so passionate about nutrition?
Well, for a bunch of different reasons, I guess. I just kind of always have been. It's just been one of those things. Even when I got it wrong, I was still passionate about it, and I was still trying to find the answers. I think like a lot of people, I just went through like everything, right? I just, I'm like, I'll just try the latest fad diet, or, I'll do this, or I'll try that, or, hey, I was vegan and vegetarian for a while for health reasons. I felt like that was the right way to go. That was the healthy way. Paleo, same reason. So, just trying all those things. And as a mom, that's definitely kind of made me want to up my game, because I realized, now I am responsible for these little people. And I have a couple of children that have my oldest and my youngest, actually, the two bookends, have some pretty serious health issues. And so just learning more, I've always believed that your health, is reliant on what you're putting into your body. So I just have always believed that, but didn't really know how to make that work in our favor. So I was always kind of searching for that, and just doing more and more and more research to try and help my kiddos. That kind of is what really catapulted me further into it.
Okay. Well, that's where we should go now then, is how did you discover keto?
Well, gosh, I can't really pinpoint like a specific time that I discovered keto, and I probably should come up with like a good elevator pitch. So I can like, every time I'm asked this question, I can be like, oh, okay, it was this date and this is how it happened. And,
yeah.
But it really didn't happen that way for me. I kind of, like I said, I've always been researching and trying to figure out, and I've always kind of been the go-to person that our friends and family have been like, well, ask Jessica if that's healthy, and ask her to give you a meal plan, and she'll give you some recipes, and let her walk you through it. So I've always been kind of researching and doing those things, and I've been for years a huge podcast fan. So I listen to health and wellness podcasts like all the time, like all day, every time I'm by myself, that's what I'm listening to. And so just kind of through listening to those, I started hearing things about keto and the ketogenic diet, and I thought that's interesting, and kind of started dabbling in that a little bit, like doing like a keto paleo thing, hybrid, for a little while. Thought it could potentially help my oldest son, who's got some issues, and our youngest daughter was very recently, actually just this past November, diagnosed with epilepsy.
Okay.
And so as soon as we got that diagnosis, and I had already been keto for a while at that point, but as soon as we got that diagnosis, I was like, okay, this is, we got to get serious about this now. Like, this is not just me, wanting to have less brain fog. This is now, I need to try and be able to manage my daughter's seizures. So she is on medication for that, and we've talked to her doctor, her neurologist, about, we don't want her to stay on medication. I know what long-term medication, sometimes it's necessary, and if it's necessary, that's one thing, but I really would like to try and work toward controlling her seizures with diet. So that's, so we're really deep into that now, trying to get there for her.
Oh, wow. Wow. So she's following a ketogenic diet now, and you're fine tuning in that? Is that what you're?
Yeah, basically. And we've actually just recently started her on some exogenous ketones. as kind of a, because we adopted her from China three and a half years ago. And so we adopted her as a toddler, and she was on the special needs list. So she has other special needs and she was recently also diagnosed with a syndrome. So we now have that, and we know, we kind of know what we're dealing with, so to speak. So I'm really trying to just work on the therapeutic benefits of her diet, and kind of not being able to communicate with her. She's nonverbal. So not being able for her to tell me, yes, mom, I feel better on this, or, yes, I'm thinking clearer, or my sleep is better. Like, I don't know those things. Okay. And so I'm just trying to help really just boost the therapeutic benefits of the diet for her right now.
Well, that sounds like, an extra challenging situation. And it sounds like with all your skill set, though, you've got the best, I don't want to say chance, right? But the best tools to figure this out and for the best health possible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was, I don't really believe in coincidences. And I think things happen in our lives for a reason. And whether you are, whatever your beliefs are, or your spirituality, I do believe that there's a path for my life. And I don't believe it's an accident that, Lily was meant to be our daughter. And I believe that I was meant to I was meant to go on the path that I'm on. I was meant to go into this NTP, get this certification, learn all the things that I've learned that are now really helping me with her. Because when I started the program, we didn't know any of this stuff was going to happen to her. And, but it so prepared me. And when I started doing keto myself and with my oldest son, we had no idea that Lily was going to be diagnosed epileptic. She had never had a seizure before, and we had no idea of any of these things. So I just feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And, and I feel like what I'm doing in my family and able to help my family, I will be able to take out into the world and help other people just through what we're experiencing. I think that's how any of us can help people the most, is through what we've experienced personally. And that gives us the ability to go out and help others. Yeah.
Wow. So what have you noticed in yourself following ketogenic diet? You mentioned brain fog, but what else?
Mm-hmm.
I got to see your presentation on the cruise, so I know a little bit of this, but what all did you notice change for you?
Wow. I mean, like, really, I feel like everything, like my whole life changed, honestly. Brain fog, I lost a lot of weight, and I've never been like, I don't think it's not fair to say like, oh, I lost 100 pounds and I had this huge weight loss, and I've never really felt like I was that overweight. I mean, I've had numerous children. So as you get older and you have more kids, I think most of us feel like, I never lost all that baby weight or whatever. So, I definitely had extra pounds I was carrying around, but had never really focused so much on that necessarily. And I guess that's not completely honest, because probably like most women, I would go to the gym and run my butt off for an hour, 2 hours, trying to make sure that I was at a calorie deficit every day and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story. But never really felt like, oh, geez, I need to lose 20 or 30 pounds. But through the ketogenic diet, that's exactly what happened. And I think what I realized was it was looking at pictures. It wasn't so much like, it's definitely body fat, but I was just so inflamed all the time, and just, the inflammation was off the charts. And looking at pictures of myself from, 2, 3, 4 years ago, so I've been ketogenic about 1.5 years now. So looking at those older pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just didn't even realize how much inflammation was in my body. Mm. I had tons of joint pain. I had been a runner, had been a sand volleyball player for years, played competitively with my husband most of my adult life.
Oh.
And had to give that up because my doctor told me that, I had a lot of hip flexor issues, and was told to stop running and stop the sand volleyball, that those two things were causing my problems and that I was just going to have to give it up. And I was told that in my 30s. And I was like, seriously, I'm in my 30s and you're telling me I can no longer play sports? Like, this is ridiculous. And so, but I was like, okay, you're the doctor, so I guess you know what you're talking about. And so anyway, that had, since starting keto, what I was told was turning into bursitis in my hips and had gone down into my knees. I was having a lot of knee issue. Literally couldn't get comfortable at night when I was going to sleep. I would have to switch sides. I sleep on my side and I would have to turn sides like every 10 to 15 minutes, no exaggeration, because my hips would go numb and it would be so uncomfortable laying there. Knees would hurt all the time. And since starting the ketogenic diet, I mean, I'm telling you, within like probably 2 weeks of being keto, 0 hip pain, 0 knee pain. I used to get shoulder issues. I'd have to go into the chiropractor and every now and then get some work done on my shoulder. No more shoulder issues. And that's been happening, I mean, 1.5 years now, it's stayed gone. So I mean, it's the brain fog, the inflammation, the sleep. My sleep is incredible now. I would drag myself out of bed every morning. I would just tell everybody I'm a night person. I'm a night owl, not a morning person. I am a morning person now. I mean, I get out of bed. I have plenty of energy. I mean, I naturally wake up every morning, typically between 6:30 and 7:30, sometime in that hour, and I'm ready to get up. I mean, it's easy. So just so many benefits from keto.
Oh, that's wonderful. And okay, so I want to talk about, let's see, so how has this impacted your work with your clients as a health coach? And soon to be, do you have your NTP officially now, or?
Yeah, it's official.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's helped me a lot just because I think I'm able to, you know, when I working as a health coach, I don't always work people into keto. I mean, that's not, I would say 90% of people come to me for that. You know, that's kind of my thing, I guess, and what I'm known for, because I believe so much in it. But I don't actually think that when clients come to me, I don't believe that all of them are ready for keto either. I mean, I do believe that there's a preparation that you need to make to be ready for keto, to make it optimal for you, I guess I should say. And I didn't know that when I was starting it. And so I made a lot of mistakes and had a lot of problems in the beginning becoming adapted. And that could have gone so much more smoothly for me. So from what I learned with myself and doing that with my husband and kind of working through all that, I have a better skill set now for my clients, that I'm able to work with them and recognize some things that can happen that we can avoid. So I think that's helped me a lot, being able to work with people.
Nice. All right. And so what are the top mistakes that you see people are making on a ketogenic diet?
Well, I think one of the most popular ones that you kind of hear a lot is just focusing on the macros. Like, here's the macros. This is what I've read on Dr. Google says ketos should be this, this, and this. And so then they just focus on that and whatever it is that they've read, because you can find all kinds of different things. But typically people will come to me and say, well, I've read it's 70% fat, 25% protein, and 5% carbs. And so that's what I want you to do. Get me on this. This is how I want to do it. And trying to explain to people, you know, I'm a big proponent of finding your keto, like what works for you, your lifestyle, making it a lifestyle, not, this isn't the, I see so many people in the media saying this is the next fad diet. And I just could not disagree more with that. And I think it is very sustainable. I think it's the way we're supposed to eat. I think it's the way we were made to eat. It's the way we have eaten for generations. But in the last couple of generations, we've gotten away from that. So we somehow think that the way we eat now is the way we were intended to eat for, since we've been on this planet. And I think that's just completely misguided. But so just helping people to understand that our bodies are made to do this and that we can do this. We just have to teach them because we've been so far away from it for so long. So teaching our bodies to be able to utilize fat and the ketones for fuel. So that's probably the most common thing that I see. But I feel like with clients, everybody wants to know, tell me what to do right now to make this work for me. and just tell me what it is, give me a meal plan, give me the recipes, tell me what I'm not allowed to have, and I'll do it. So what's the keto foods, right? Like I hear all the time, tell me what's keto. And I'm like, well, there's just food, right? Like just eat food. And here, let's work on what helps you be able to produce ketones in your body and helps you be able to run on fuel. Because if you're not digesting your food, if you're not digesting fats, you can eat the proper macros all day long and it's not going to work for you. It's not going to go well. So we work on that. But I think probably the biggest missing pieces that I see with most people is they don't put enough, not emphasis, but they don't give enough credit to your sleep and stress management. I think that's huge. So I'm always working with clients, like I will work with you on nutrition, but and help you with that. But that's not it. It's not all encompassing just nutrition. Like we have to work on how is your sleep, like getting yourself to wind down properly at night, how much your hormones are involved in everything about your health and making sure that those are in line. So making sure you're producing serotonin that when you should be, and that your cortisol is being managed, and that you're handling your cortisol, you have your rises and your falls in cortisol when you should, and just doing things that they need to be doing. Detoxification of their body. So many people are walking around so congested, congested livers, and their bodies just aren't detoxing. And so being able to help people work on the stress and getting into that parasympathetic mode so that your body can work on detoxification. Detoxification is a parasympathetic process. So you have to be parasympathetic to do that. And most people are walking around chronically sympathetic. And so they're always in that fight or flight, mode. They're never getting into that rest and digest. So trying to really get people to understand the importance of that. Because I think, again, that's one of those things where people, I don't know if it's really a woo-woo thing to them, but I think that most people just really, nobody talks about it in the healthcare, at least our allopathic medicine field. They never hear these things from their doctor, so they don't really think there's any credence to this stuff. They just blow it off.
So what kind of results are you seeing with your clients that you're working with?
I think it's really mixed, and I hate to say that. I wish I could tell you that it's awesome. Everybody does fantastic. Come to me, I'll fix all your problems. It's very mixed, and I'll tell you, it's frustrating for me as a health and wellness coach, because I want to, quote unquote, fix everybody. And I think another thing that I learned through this NTP program that I am forever grateful for is being able to take myself out of that equation. I am not fixing anyone. I can educate you, and I can, give you the tools. I can give you what I know. I can help to educate you on it, but ultimately it's up to the client. And unfortunately, probably the most frustrating thing, and I don't know, Carole, maybe you see this too in your practice, but the most frustrating thing that I see is the follow through, is clients' compliance, basically. And I think it comes down to I honestly don't know what it comes down to. I have not figured that out yet. So, because I see so many different variants, I'll think I have it figured out, and then something will happen with somebody else, and I'm like, that's not why she didn't follow through. So I don't know what's going on. So I feel like compliance is an issue. People just maybe not believing that they can do this, or, maybe we live in this society that everybody wants a pill to fix, and you want immediate results. And I think that people maybe have a hard time believing that if they do these simple things that are just, I might say, listen, just change your diet to this, and, make sure you're getting plenty of nutrient dense foods. And I want you to work on your autonomic nervous system regulation. We're going to work on your parasympathetic and sympathetic responses to everything. And I want you to get really good sleep, and we're going to focus on these things. And I think that people are like, wait a minute, do you have a pill for me to take? Or aren't you going to tell me to do something crazy, or drink some lemon and cayenne water for a month? it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So sometimes I feel like maybe they just don't believe that the simple things that I'm telling them can really make that big of a difference in their life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Behavior change and follow through and motivation, accountability, all those things are tricky to navigate, to have people follow through, and especially when they want some magic bullet. Just tell me one little thing to do, fix it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I've definitely started transitioning a lot of what I'm doing to more, doing more seminars and group wellness. I really find that to be much more, first of all, I enjoy it. I'm super passionate about that. I love it. But I find that for some reason, that seems to be better and people have more follow through. And I don't know if it's because of the group setting and they feel like they're part of a group, and maybe there's a bit of competitiveness where they're like, oh, well, if they're going to be doing that, I need to make sure I'm sticking with this too. And I'm doing, staying on track, or, I don't know if it's something to do with that, but I feel like there's more compliance in the group settings and that type of thing. So I'm really trying to focus more on that. I've been working recently on building some classes, some free classes to offer on my website, so that, because really my biggest passion is I just want to get the information out there, and I just want people to be able to get the information and start making these changes. And I feel like if they can get the information for free and start seeing some changes, maybe then they'll be more likely to say, you know what, this actually really does work, and nutrition really can heal my body. And I'm going to take this even further. Like I really want to do this. So I'm hopeful that maybe that'll help. So I've been working kind of a little more toward that.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears and talk about your podcast. What inspired you to start a podcast? I imagine it's this drive and passion to get information out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's number one for sure. But actually, Jimmy Moore inspired me.
Okay.
He had me on. We'd been talking, and he was going to be interviewing me for his, at the time, Fasting Talk podcast. And because I had done some fasting and had been talking to him, and he basically just said, you really need to get out there and start a podcast. You've got all this great information. You're passionate about this, and you need to be sharing what you're doing with people. And so I'm like, oh, Jim, are you kidding? Like, I'm not a podcaster. And he's like, well, neither is anybody else that starts a podcast. They just start a podcast. So I just got thinking about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll figure that out. So my husband helped me kind of figure out what to do. And I thought this would be a really awesome way to get information out there. And so just, and I really was focusing on at the time, this was another thing that I was kind of hoping would help with compliance of clients, because I would, the way my programs would work, I just thought this would be a really good supplement to their coaching. So I was, putting out an episode. In the beginning, I was doing like 1 to 2 a week, and then now it's just weekly. But I would tell them, hey, I would talk about all the things that we were learning, that I was teaching them and we were going over. And so it was just another way I was hoping for them to kind of stay inspired and be able to get even more coaching when we weren't actually, interacting at that specific time. So it was a combination of a few different things. And so that's where it led to. And I realized I really enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun, and just keep doing it.
How's it grown? Like, what's the following now?
Those numbers are something I've never followed. Like, I don't get into that, but my husband does. So he will literally, like last night, the only reason I know this is we were on our way to an event last night, and he was sitting in the passenger seat, and he's like, hey, I just pulled up your stats. He's like, I know you're not following this, but you had your best day ever yesterday. And I'm like, yesterday? Why? Like, I didn't produce a podcast yesterday. I'm like, what was special about yesterday? But I'm up to about 175,000 followers. So, or downloads, I should say. So that's pretty huge for me. I mean, I literally just recorded my 50th episode. So I don't know at all how that compares to anybody else's. But to me, that seems like a really big number. I'm like 175, that like, why would 175,000 times somebody download my podcast? So
just
if
one person, just all day long, right?
right, exactly. So if it was, if I had one download, honestly, I'd be like, okay, that's awesome. Somebody's listening. So it's pretty cool.
That's great. So have you had like a, crazy story where just randomly somebody reaches out and they're like, I heard your podcast. Is that how you're getting people finding you now?
Yeah, I do all the time. I have that happen. And actually it was interesting on the cruise, Carole, you know how we were sat at tables, with other people that were there for the conference. And at our table, there was a girl that was sitting at our table that said, when I sat down, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're Jessica Ty." And I was like, yes. Like, this is really weird. And she's like, "I listen to your podcast all the time. I love your podcast. I had no idea you were even going to be here. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing." And, I was like tearing up listening, and she is the sweetest girl ever. And like, she had actually heard about the cruise on someone else's podcast, and then, gets there and she's at a table with me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love your podcast," blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of one of those like moments for me where I was just like, I can't even believe that. And, she's like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Seriously? Me?" Okay. So it was cool. So that was fun. Last night we went to the event we were going to was we belong to our Chamber of Commerce here. And we were going to this event with them. But so I ran into a girl who was at that Chamber of Commerce who said, who I know, but she said, "I just want you to know that my sister was talking to me a few months ago about dabbling in keto, and she had heard of this new thing called keto. And I told her, 'Oh my gosh, I know this girl in our chamber and she has a podcast on keto. You should listen to it.'" She said she started listening to your podcast and she's lost 50 pounds and feels better than she's felt in her whole life. And she just came off of statin drugs.
Oh, wow.
So that was huge for me yesterday. I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? So that's why I do it. I can't coach everybody. Like, there's just not enough hours in the day, even if I could. So that's amazing that you, and with you too, Carole, that you can have this kind of reach through this media platform to change people's lives that you never even get to meet.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm sure that just fuels you, right? Because that's the whole reason you're doing this, is to get the information out there and change lives. I had somebody email me this last week that said that one of my interviews that I did, Dr. Ted Naiman, that we've got out here in the Seattle area, she said my interview with him like changed her entire life. And so a similar story of like, that was one of the, pivotal things, that getting this information out and sharing these interviews and information with people, you just never know who you're going to inspire and who you're going to touch and
absolutely
what they're going to have. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Ted Naiman is amazing. He is just super, super smart, like off the rails smart. It's just some amazing information. But I think it's also important for anybody that's even listening to this to understand that you can have a voice. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't even have to be, you don't have to have any kind of formal education. If you have done something like this, like the ketogenic diet, or something that has changed your life for the better, and you've seen these amazing health implications from it, I think it's so important to use your voice to tell other people, whether or not you have a platform like this, just to, a blog, or, talking to people in your community, and just not being shy about it, because I feel like that's how we're going to get the word out to everybody. I am shocked so many times when I'm speaking to a group and see the blank stares of people when you start talking about nutrition and health and or keto or whatever. And I feel like, I guess because of the circles we're in, you think everybody knows, and they don't know.
Yeah. I know, like, some people will say, "Oh, keto's easy, just cut out the carbs." Like, why do people make it so complicated? But most people in this world don't know what is a carb from a protein versus a
Yes.
a fat, right? So, well, most of them know what fat is because they've been avoiding it forever. But
Right.
I had somebody tell me once, like, well, proteins are high in, bagels are high in protein, right? And I was like, why would you say that? Well, because they come in the Starbucks protein box. That's all, those are protein foods in there. And I was like, oh, yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, most people do not know about these basic information that we take for granted because we're just immersed in it. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wonder, okay, so I one closing question, but before we go there, was there anything else that you were wanting to share or hoping I would ask about?
I can't think of anything. I'm
Okay.
just happy to be on here and be sharing this information with another group of people that
Yeah.
probably have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
I think that
your podcast is Keto Lifestyle, so we'll link it below and all your contact info down there as well, so people can reach out to you and follow you and
awesome.
Inspire more people to do healthy things with their lives. So my final question is, it's our last day on this planet. The meteor's coming at us. We're all going to die. What's your final meal going to be?
Oh, wow. Oh man, that's hard because I really like food, Carole.
You can make a smorgasbord.
I know, I probably would, but I'll tell you this much: it will have a glass of red wine with it. Okay. Wow, my last meal. You know what? There's probably nothing I like better than, well, it would be a surf and turf because I love steak and I love fish, probably lobster tail. So it'd probably be probably like maybe a porterhouse steak, medium rare, more rare, and lobster tail with lots of butter and butter on my steak, truffle butter actually.
Oh.
And I would do some sauteed Brussels sprouts and broccoli, cauliflower. That's like my favorite. And I'd throw some sweet potatoes in there too.
Yeah.
And that'd probably be it. That would be and a piece of carrot cake. I mean, shoot, it's my last day out, man. Just give me the whole cake. I'll just take the whole carrot cake. I'll eat what I can.
You'll be watching the fiery ball in the sky as you.
That's right, as I'm enjoying.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Jessica, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing everything. Thank you for the passionate work that you're doing for this world. You're doing great work and inspiring really amazing things in people. So thank you so much for being here. You guys, if you like this, give us thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. All of Jessica's contact info is below in the show notes here, and go listen to her podcast and share with us what she's inspired you to change in your life too. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you again, Jessica.
Thanks, Carole.
We'll see you all soon. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.